Okay.
Hey, so this is a reading for my friend who will be anonymous over here. Um, Thank you for doing this. Um,
Appreciate it. No, thank you so much, Rachel. Appreciate it.
yeah, it's my pleasure. Uh, um, so um, Normally, I like to begin with a prayer. Something that my teacher, Miss EveJi, one of my most recent teachers, Miss EveJi, always says at the end of her prayer and before she starts giving a reading or even any sort of teaching instruction or anything, she says, "May you be protected from my ignorance." And I say this also with the spirit that if anything does not resonate, if something is not in your highest and best interest, may that just wash over like you didn't catch that at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because obviously I'm not all knowing. Let me know. Are you able to see my screen now?
I see it now. Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So so this type of reading, a Panchang reading, Panchang is basically the most ancient form of astrological reading that you used to get sort of in the very old days. When I was very small, my Bai actually, she was the one who used to, she's the one who showed me Panchang. And then over time, because every year, like when my mom would come to visit me, she'd say, "Oh, what do you want from here?" The one thing I'd say is, "I want Kal Nirnay," because that tells the Panchang in each square. That's of course
Hmm.
until I discovered the website Drik Panchang, because that tells you all the Panchang. And then of course since
Right.
that point, I have revised my learning, updated my learning from
Hmm.
several teachers, and when I upload this, I will put their names too for credit of all that they've taught me. But as a basic framework, what is the Panchang? It's many people translate it as Panchang is the five limbs of time. That's not the way I learned it.
Hmm.
It's more like Panch, five, Ang
Hmm.
is body. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like the five bodies, um, the five the five components
Hmm.
of a body is
Hmm.
how I like to think of Panchang and how I've been taught Panchang. And so these five comprise the fire, the fire, your energy, which are basically the sun and Mars are
Hmm.
the sun creates the fire, the Mars kind of directs that. But not quite because it is directed by the planetary channel of which of who your Varesh is, right? Varesh is the lord of your day.
Hmm.
Then water is your emotion, your lunar day, okay? Like which tithi
Hmm.
you're in, which lunar day. Then, and of course, in Western astrology, there's that, first quarter waxing, waning, first quarter opening. They don't do, I think, thorough enough job of it in Western astrology. I think the way we have it is far more thorough, I think, because there's 30 tithis,
Hmm.
there's 16 Nitya Devis, but
Hmm.
there's 30 tithis. And then I will skip ahead to the first or sorry uh, the last, like the manifestation form, which is the karna. If you see on the screen here, the earth, which is like the manifested thing, there are 60 of those. Yeah,
Hmm.
so because each tithi, each emotion bears out as a fractal of two. So
Hmm.
but in between that there is the nakshatra, which is how your well, and that's the air element. And why air? Because and there's a really nice shlok, like a 5-line shlok. But essentially, the third line of that is what the nakshatra is, and it's the words there are used. Papa Nivaranyam. But what that means is it's like the solution or the fixing up of the
Mhm.
sins. But
Mhm.
sin means to miss the mark in
Mhm.
archery. And so where you've missed the mark last time, your nakshatra is sort of how your pathway, so to speak. And
Mhm.
why a pathway? Because your Janma nakshatra, your moon, which nakshatra your moon is in, that is what determines like your dashas, your entire like sort of your pathway is all determined by that, and the
Mhm.
breath you take, and that's why air. Uh,
Mhm.
the yog is the ether element, and I don't mean ether like ether alcohol, ETHR, it's aether. It's more like space. And now, they're saying that what space is 99% of everything, right? And only 1% is like the actual stuff.
Right.
So the yoga is like more like the vibe of things, how something feels. And there's 27 of that. Um, Similar, sort of. I say sort of because there are actually 28 nakshatras, not 27. There are 27 yogs and 28 nakshatras, of which, we generally only
Mhm.
look at 27, but there's 28 actually. And
What is the 28th one?
Abhijit,
Okay.
Lyra, Vega. Interestingly, the sun is in Abhijit during 20th of Jan to 24th of Jan. And
Mhm.
every 4 years, that's when the US president has his, he gets sworn in during that time frame. Why?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the funny
That's
thing is that,
interesting.
yeah, the funny thing is that even, and this story about like why Abhijit was sort of removed from the nakshatra belt. Do you know that story?
No, no, I do not.
Okay, should I tell you now or later?
Yes, please. Yeah, no, no, yes, please. While we're on
Yeah,
the topic, that way I'll remember
sure. Yeah,
better.
um, so there's a story. There was a war, and the enemy party, I think it was the Pandavas and the Kauravas. So party A goes to party B and asks the astrologer of party B, what's the good time for me to wage this war so that I become victorious, so that my side, party
Mhm.
A side, wins. And party B's astrologer says, well, of course, when it's Abhijit Nakshatra. And Lord Shri Krishna, I think, yeah, Krishna was Arjun's mentor, right? He heard that. And he went and told the astrologer, why did you do that? And he said, well, because when I'm in the role of astrologer, I have to tell the truth, even if the guy is from the other side. So I'm bound. I have to speak the truth. And so then Lord Shri Krishna kicked that asterism out so that that Murat would not arrive. And that's why it's sort of out of the belt. But if you
Oh.
actually want to see it on Stellarium and stuff, you
Mhm.
will find it if you look up Lyra, Lyra, or
Mhm.
Vega. Or
Ah.
yeah, if you put it, and by the way, okay, I spoke about this even on that Nagas video that I uploaded recently.
Okay.
So the previous pole star used to be Tuban, right? Then the
Mhm.
current pole star is Polaris,
Mhm.
and I think the next pole star will
Mhm.
be Vega because of the
Oh.
wobble,
Well, right.
the way
Right.
the earth wobbles. Like,
Mhm.
and the pole star is basically you draw a line straight down, and that's true north. So that's
Mhm.
kind of as our spine wobbles, as the
Mhm.
earth wobbles. I think at some point it will be Vega. And there's a lot about Vega, by the way. Like I'll tell you those things offline. But there
Okay.
is a lot with Vega, uh,
Mhm.
like evolutionarily also. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, but where was I going? Oh, yeah. So that was the 28th. That's the 28th nakshatra. And actually, every single day, Abhijit Muhurat is around noon time frame, like 20 minutes before, 20 minutes after. You have to kind of calculate it for the accurate Abhijit because, you can say 12, but actually it's more like the high noon minus 20 minutes plus 20 minutes. And then there's one more again at midnight time. Again, or rather, I should say high midnight.
Mm-hmm.
So you take the sunset and the sunrise and the
Mm-hmm.
halfway point between that. So it's not necessarily clock midnight. It's not necessarily clock noon,
Right.
but you have
Where
to take
sun is at the peakest, or the,
uh,
yeah,
yes,
at the
yes,
top point of the curve, so to speak.
yes. Yeah. So you have to take the true sunrise and sunset and then go half from there. And then on the
Mm-hmm.
other side, go half from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, but that would be the
Interesting.
28th. And here's the thing, like on AstroSeek, you can set it up so that it tells you the actual nakshatra. Like, so say, so for example, suppose someone has Mars or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but Mars specifically, Mars and Abhijit, oh,
Mm-hmm.
don't even think about arguing with them or fighting them or anything. It's like, yeah, don't even. Then
Do I have
from
it? Do
then
I have it?
say again.
Do I have it?
Oh, no, you don't. You don't worry. No, but like, no, it's actually, if you did have it, that would be like, wow. I mean, it is
I
actually a very
gotcha.
powerful position. It's a very ordained position. So I'll
Okay,
give
yeah.
an example, like,
I mean, my mom keeps saying it's hard to argue with me, so I was just curious.
no, your Mars is, wait, no, let me think. Your Mars is in Purvashada.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
your
think you
Mars is,
texted me that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Right.
your Mars is, so in zodiacally, it's in Sagittarius, which
Mm-hmm.
is like also, it's a war sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
But see, the thing, Mars in Sag or Mars in Purvashada, not just Sag in overall, but in Purvashada specifically, the only reason it would be hard to argue is because Purvashada, they already gather their resources and all the evidence ahead of time. So it's like with
Very
someone who's
true.
done so much homework, what you can argue.
Yep. I have all the weapons with me before I go to fight.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bingo, you
They've
nailed it.
already assembled all the allies and everything, and then what? So,
Yeah.
so that's maybe why your mom says that. No, but it's like, what's her name? Taylor Swift,
Mm-hmm.
right? She has her Venus over there in Abhijit.
I appreciate that. Okay.
And yeah, it's like people who, sometimes you're like, what this person, what's so special about them or anything?
Mm-hmm.
And then you look up their chart and you see, oh crap, never mind. They have something in Abhijit. It's like, okay, never mind. You know,
Got it.
that's what
Okay.
it is. It's like Lyra just sent them. That's the
Mm-hmm.
offline thing I'll tell you about Lyra and
Yeah.
Vega. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, Lyra sent you, so
Mm-hmm.
you're fine. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, so this is sort of so the Panchang basically goes over, the five elements and how your energy is operating in that sort of scheme of the elements, yeah. Um, Now,
Right.
okay, so in yours specifically, uh,
Mm-hmm.
fire element is so your war is Shani. So you're born on Saturday. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you were born on the waning sixth tithi. So your
Mm-hmm.
water is Krishna Shashti.
Mm-hmm.
Your air, so your nakshatra, your moon nakshatra is Revati.
Mm-hmm.
You were born in Sukarma Yoga, and
Mm-hmm.
your karna is Vanij Karna. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go over in detail sort of what these things mean.
Mm-hmm.
And now, just a quick caveat on this. With every single um, item in here, you will see that I have listed like a planetary channel.
Mm-hmm.
I've named it like that because these are in fact planetary channels, not like planetary ruler. Because it's not like all of these elements are not ruled by planets. The
Mm-hmm.
planets, and that's why I feel like in Vedic astrology we have a better word than planet. We say graha, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because graha is like a energy grabber, a seizer, a filter,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because graha, gran karna, right? Like to get it. or to grant even, like just think about it, how much appropriation has happened, grant, right?
Mhm.
And graha, to get. So so the planet acts more like a channel and a filter for how it's going to show up in your life. So like for example, like yeah, oh yeah, okay, and here I've listed them out, which are your specifics. Your solar day Saturn, lunar day is waning sixth,
Mhm.
Revati, Sukarma, and Vanij.
Mhm.
Okay, are you able to see the full screen here?
I can. I see the Saturday fire element ruled by Saturn. It
Perfect.
talks about,
Perfect.
yeah, and is
Okay.
Anuradha spine posture.
Okay, good, good. Because I wasn't sure with this sharing thing how, like, because yeah, I don't know what you can see and what is showing up on my side here. Um, but so okay, being born on Saturday, think about it this way, okay? Saturday, Saturn is a
Mhm.
sort of cold
Mhm.
planet, right? It's far.
Mhm.
It's not like, say you were born on a Sunday. There's like fire and sun. That's in a way, it's like kind of too hot, too much fire in that sense.
Mhm.
Which is why they say like people born on Sunday or like fire element is sun, they have a lot of body pain because like there's
Okay.
so much fire, right? It's like
Mhm.
so. But the thing with Saturday, oh, and also, so the way you think of it is this. So your fire element is here I've written ruled by Saturn, is more like it's channeled by Saturn. So think
Mhm.
about fire as, I mean, or rather think about Saturn as this like cold, old planet as trying to deliver some fire to you, you know?
Mhm.
So, and that's why I have here this image of coals,
Mhm.
because it's like, you know how coals are, right? First of all, they're just sitting, chilling, they're jet black. They're not hot. But
Mhm.
then they simmer, and then they can really heat up a place, right? And you
Mhm.
will never touch a coal flat out because,
Mhm.
like, yeah. Um, Also, then it becomes important to see in terms of how it's manifesting is your Saturn is in your ninth house, and it's in
Mhm.
the nakshatra of Anuradha.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's where sort of that becomes important for you to consider
Mhm.
in how it plays out. Then
Mhm.
also the Saturn period becomes
Mhm.
important. Now for you, your Saturn period doesn't come until 2085 to
Mhm.
2104, right?
Mhm.
In the separate sort of tables that I've run.
Mhm.
Um, However, you are running like a subdasha, like a not a mahadasha,
Venus, yeah.
an
Yeah.
antardasha,
Yeah.
yeah, of
Yeah. Antardasha, yes.
yeah, which is why, when I did your like Mahadasha as Venus, and I said, like you make your dasha as the lagna
Mhm.
and then look at your chart. And that's why I asked you, are you having construction going on in your house?
Right.
Because on that basis, Saturn comes in your fourth house and it's
Mhm.
going on from this time to this time. So it's
Mhm.
like it's a very easy birth time rectification thing.
Mhm.
Was like real quickly, like if you would have said no, that was some time back, or no, I'm having my neighborhood construction is going on, I would have said, huh, that's third house then. So then I need to move the Lagna Dasha,
Planets back. Right.
which means,
Yeah.
oh, you're not running a Venus Dasha, you're running something else.
Right.
Then I have to like recalc everything and see, because then your timing's off. But
Mhm.
this way, your timing is also correct because of this.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially, let's see on this one. So what does a person born on Saturday, when your fire energy is going through this, was being delivered by the Saturn planet and through these
Mhm.
Saturnian forces, right? So essentially, uh, a lot of this means that your like fire, your motivation, a lot of this comes um, from it's like you're meant to fulfill the promises that are
Mhm.
made by your father or by an ancestor, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Now, Saturn is also the deliverer of past promises and also
Mhm.
past karmas, past deeds, right? So
Right.
a lot of luck that comes into your life also
Mhm.
is in many ways preordained,
Mhm.
And oh, and then I will go more into this detail in the private portion of this, yeah.
Okay.
Now, okay, Anuradha, spine and posture. I'm going to show you some images
Mhm.
that are related to the nakshatra of Anuradha.
Mhm.
Again, over here, by the way, you see the theme of coals,
Right.
right? Because, yeah, spine, devotion,
Mhm.
a staff, like the way, these, like Gandalf and all these
Mhm.
like, powerful people, they hold a staff.
Right.
Very close, very long-term friendships and long-term vows. Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of these
Mhm.
themes are under Anuradha. And a lot of like, yeah, and I'll actually, because this has some themes and tie-ins with your Venus, um, I will go over that in the private portion of this, yeah.
Mhm.
I'll go quickly to your water element. Oh, actually, wait, there's one more here. Oh yeah, so Anuradha's deity is Mitra, and Mitra is famous
Mhm.
for the wait, the image didn't show through, huh, on this one. Bummer, because I had like a perfect image for this. It is that old,
Yeah, I don't see that much.
yeah, yeah. It's the I'll describe it to you. It's the old image of that um um the Iranian god of like the one guy giving the ring or the sun to the other guy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
Uh,
remember seeing that. Yeah.
yeah, Mitra.
Yeah. I remember seeing the
Yeah,
picture.
it's um yeah, this one. I don't know if you're able to see it. Are you able to see it?
It's now I can. Yeah. Now I can. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Tiny, but
that's
still,
the
I know. I can recall the image. I just need the
yeah.
yeah, silhouette of
Yeah.
it, I guess. Yeah.
And the thing about that is, like, there's a lot of lore about, like, is he taking the ring? Is he giving the ring? What is actually going on here? But if you think about that
Mhm.
ring as the sun, and Mitra is the
Mhm.
promise fulfiller of the rise of the sun.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Mhm.
Aryaman makes the promise that the sun will
Mhm.
rise again, and then
Mhm.
Mitra delivers on that promise. So
Mhm.
that's what that image is about, and which is why here what I've written is, the bearer of the rising sun, the first spark of sunrise, fulfiller of the promise,
Mhm.
ring bearer, devotion, commitment, and devotion, commitment, diplomacy, international relations, all of that good stuff. Yeah. So this is just your
Mhm.
fire element. Now,
Mhm.
we'll go over water. Your water element, your planetary channel here is Venus, and
Mhm.
this particular and keep that in mind, okay, that it's Venus, because one of the Venus nakshatras. So there's three Venus nakshatras, Bharani, um, which of course is the bearer, the when pushing the baby out, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
Then Purva Falguni
Pubba. There's
and
Pubba, right? Pubba.
huh?
They also call it Pubba or something.
Oh, no, maybe that's Purva Bhadrapada.
Maybe and yeah,
Okay,
it's been a very long time. No, no, no. You
uh,
you probably are right, Rochelle. It's
okay,
almost been close to 16 years, so I could be wrong.
okay.
No, yeah, go ahead, please.
No,
Sorry
no,
to
you're
interrupt. Yeah.
fine. No, you're fine. So the three are so Purva Falguni, Purva
Mhm.
Ashada, and
Mhm.
Bharani. Those three are
Mhm.
the channels of Venus. So it's interesting. Put a pin in this one about the Purva Falguni. Okay.
Okay.
And the Purva Ashada, because remember when we were
Mhm.
talking offline, I was telling you that's an important one. So
Mhm.
the goddess here is goddess Mahavajreshwari. This is also known as the birth
Mhm.
deity of Lord Kartikeya, um, peacock. I don't know
Okay.
if you can, yeah, um,
Right. Right.
yeah, and
Mhm.
then the interesting thing here is also some of the other goddesses here are Skanda Mata, who is a protector of children.
Mhm.
Now, the
Mhm.
Panchami goddess is the one you worship to conceive the child. But this one is the one you pray to hold on to the pregnancy, because this sort of tithi is all about the material manifestation, right? So
Mhm.
what this tells me is that, like, emotionally you feel satisfied when the manifestation is going to happen. Like, that's
Mhm.
what satisfies you. There's airy
Mhm.
fairy ideas that
Mhm.
doesn't bring you that much, like, in terms of satisfaction. It's like
Mhm.
seeing it tangibly happening, then
Mhm.
okay, you know. And
Mhm.
the goddess here, Mahavajreshwari, uh,
Mhm.
she is sitting in a little hammock or bowl that is in an ocean of blood, but
Mhm.
not to freak you out, but it's like, again, it's that
Mhm.
womb theme, you know.
Mhm.
She's the protectress of progeny. And how does
Mhm.
she do it? By cocooning in a diamond cage. You see, and
Mhm.
that's the Vajreshwari. It's that's what
Mhm.
devotion to Mahavajreshwari brings. Um,
Mhm.
and then what is held in her hand also is pretty interesting. Um, in her left hand, she holds a pasha, which is the noose, right, to like restrain,
Mhm.
and sugarcane ball, so like to curb your desires. But those
Mhm.
are like on the in the left hand, so like in the, more passive on that side. The right hand, she
Mhm.
holds a gourd, that ankush, and a pomegranate. Now, what is the
Mhm.
goat is the like sort of that pokey proddy thing that they use in order to train elephants. Okay.
Mhm.
Kind of, if you see, or if you like Google up goat and you look it up, it kind of looks like an obscene sort of instrument. But the thing about that goat is it's almost like, like goading you to do something, and then your reward
Mhm.
is your pomegranate, your wealth,
Mhm.
your, good health, all of that, right?
Right. Mm.
Now, your Venus, like naturally in your chart, is in the sixth house in Purva
Mhm.
Falguni Nakshatra.
Mhm.
Now, these things are important, and some of these I will go over in in the private portion of this.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but the natural tendencies towards passion, but
Mhm.
sort of what you're meant to develop with it is
Mhm.
detachment,
Mhm.
right? And it's interesting again here because of this Purva Falguni,
Mhm.
because Purva Falguni's flower or the tree is the palash, palash ke phool, the flowers.
Mhm.
It's like they call it flame of the forest. And it's all, when there's that season, right? It's all red, it's all everywhere. And the word that's associated with it is like Brahm, but not Brahma. Brahm meaning
Mhm.
like, that, like, not, I'll say the word delusion, but I don't mean like in delusional, not like that. But it's more like, when you see all those red flowers, you think, whoa, like, is the place on fire? It's not.
Mhm.
It's just the flowers, but it creates that fear. It creates that wrong fear, right? Of like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, what's happening here? And so the calling in this particular one with the feelings part of it, which is why we'll go over this one sort of in the, privately later, is
Mhm.
there's a story of like Arjun's mentor is Sri Krishna, and then Duryodhan's mentor is Shakuni, right? And
Mhm.
one guy's mentor is like, ha bolke, like he just says what you want to hear. And he goes with
Right.
him and goes down a wrong path. But one guy hears the hard advice and follows it
Mhm.
and is rewarded for that. So
Right.
this is where this matters, because it's very important in this sort of in this tithi to really have good counsel as far as like your emotions, and like what, like, oh, am I perceiving this right? Like, having that sort of
Right.
counterbalance. Now, luckily,
Mhm.
you do have Mars in Purvashada, which always tends to
Mhm.
collaborate and all that anyways. So that's
Mhm.
really good. That's like a protective factor, I would say.
Mhm.
You know,
Okay.
yeah. Again, here though, same as your fire element, the need for moisture is reinforced, sort of like in medical astrology or in like health things. Um,
Mhm.
there is a need here for moisture because even this one, you know, there's water in the fire there. So,
Mhm.
or yeah, your water is in a thing that has so much fire that that there can be that dryness. So, or not
Mhm.
dryness, really more like, you know, like you need glucosamine, you need those kind of things that will, you know, preserve and protect sort of your joints or you know your
Mhm.
systems that need moisture in the body. Um,
Right.
yeah. Let's see. Those were the first two elements. We have three more to go. Do you have any questions in between?
No, no. I guess I'm observing all, or um, absorbing all the information and just making some notes for me to ask later, I guess.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
now, I think I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So now with the air element, right? Now some interesting things about Revati Nakshatra. So these are
Mhm.
some pictures to sort of show the, you know, what Revati is all about.
Mhm.
But Rave, you know, the first part of the word Revati, um, what does Reva mean? Reva in the very, very old text. And there is a lady actually on YouTube who speaks about this. She's Marathi. Her name is Gauri Kate. She talks
Mhm.
about this, and she is the one who has found out from some of her old texts that
Mhm.
Deva means the stream, like a dhara, a stream of water, sparkling water that makes a beautiful sound. And it's indicative
Mhm.
of wealth, of you know, that sound money, you know, all those kind of like magical things associated with wealth and water,
Mhm.
which is why
Mhm.
Revati is also called the wealthy star. Okay, it's the
Mhm.
star of wealth. Now, the Shakti, the power of this nakshatra is the power to nourish.
Mhm.
The deity is Pushan, who is
Mhm.
also the helmsman, the herdsman, the ferryman, Thanatos, the boatman
Mhm.
who takes you across the Vaitrayani river. Uh,
Mhm.
the desire of this nakshatra is to nourish the entire world.
Hey, I'm here.
Hey. And I'm not one who will blame Mercury for it.
Mhm.
I just refuse to do that. No, no, no. I'm like, don't blame Mercury,
For that, yeah.
right?
Mercury, I think, has, yeah.
Yeah. Now, interestingly,
Mhm.
Revati's planetary channel is
Mhm.
Mercury.
Mhm.
Yeah. And again, the way that that matters and the way that plays out,
Mhm.
that so when you're born, when the moon is in Revati, that sort of your Vimshotri Dasha system, it starts off with the Mercury Dashas, right? But what does that
Mhm.
specifically? It means that the nakshatras that become active are
Mhm.
all the Mercury nakshatras, which are Ashlesha, Jeshta, and Revati. These
Mhm.
three Mercurian dashas, yeah.
Mhm.
So Mercurian, not dasha, the Mercurian nakshatras that get activated.
Mhm.
Right, then in the
Mhm.
Vimshotri system, and there's many other systems, right, like Ashtotri and Yogini Dasha.
Mhm.
I, for me, good enough, you know, Vimshotri is good enough.
Mhm.
You granularize it, you use it right. Yeah, it gives you enough predictive to where you don't, you know, need to go to other dasha systems either. And so rather than like confusing myself with like overloading with a bunch of different, I just stick to the few that I know, and it's good enough. So we'll go back sort of one slide. Okay, so Revati, so all that
Mhm.
business about the you know, the this stream of water,
Mhm.
you know, that makes a sound, that has the sparkle of
Mhm.
the sun and the light. All these are indications of that sort of stream of wealth. It's called the star of wealth or the wealthy star. Every
Mhm.
nakshatra has a certain power, and the
Mhm.
power comes not from the planet per se, but comes from the deity. And
Mhm.
the sort of uh, that sort of strength and that Shakti is channeled the um, through the planet, right?
Mhm.
Um, so in your case, the planet, of course, is the moon, but the timing of when happens to be the Mercury timings. You see, so
Mhm.
that's sort of how you, and sorry, I know like when I do a normal like a Panchang reading, I don't go into like technicalities like that, but since you
Mhm.
also are you know, in this field, I'm like that's why I tend to explain it that way.
No, thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of brushing my skills as well. It's been a very long time, and I kind of I'm having a deja vu now.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's good.
thank you for that.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Yeah. So now here's an interesting thing. Oh, so you're aware of this thing called the bases above, bases below, and all of that?
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer to think of it as, and I got this concept or this sort of verbiage from a gentleman named Michael Reed, because he explains it like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I heard him say it in this fashion, like rather, you know, bases above, bases below, it made a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Bases above cows, bases below calves. If
Mm-hmm.
you just tell that to any layperson, they'll be like, what? But when you think about it as the heavens provide the cows, the
Mm-hmm.
earthly incarnation provides the calves that need to be nourished,
Nourish, yeah.
you know? And so like then that makes sense then, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
resulting in, if done right, the nourishment of the whole world. Now, interestingly, this star is known as the birth star of Shani, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is it's interesting on a bunch of different levels. Even if you think about it in terms of like Western astrology,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they say Saturn finds his joy, right? In Pisces, Saturn finds his joy in the 12th house
Mm-hmm.
also. But 12th house, Saturn feet, right? Legs. So there's quite a bit of, you know, uh, correlation over
Connection.
there also, even in Western.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is why sometimes I find it interesting that, you know, even in Western, even if we use different techniques, even if
Mm-hmm.
like the significations are different, like the result and the prediction comes out to be the same,
Mm-hmm.
which is just fascinating that way. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, and then this particular nakshatra is the exaltation of Venus. You know, specifically,
Mm-hmm.
I think at the 29-degree point is the
Mm-hmm.
exaltation of Venus. Now, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I would have put that line up above, but you know, where the deity, all those different deities are listed out. I also like to put in sort of the Judaism equivalent, and I believe in this one, it is
Mm-hmm.
Jesus the Good Shepherd,
Mm-hmm.
because you know that symbology of have you seen the ones where like Jesus is holding a staff and like what, you know, he's known as the Good Shepherd, and that kind of crooked kind of staff, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and the active ages for this nakshatra are 5, 12, 32,
Mm-hmm.
42,
Mm-hmm.
and 60.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this
Mhm.
part, the active ages part, I will go over sort of in the private section of when we chat.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I'll tell you a few interesting things about how to look at this in terms of predictive.
Mhm.
So, uh, so these are the ages when that nakshatra is active.
Mhm.
Now, but what does that mean? So it's active. Does that mean like, my whole year I'll be getting wealth or whatever, or like, whatever the dark manifestations are, like the darker manifestations
Mhm.
of Revati are, like being over enabling in relationships and all that kind of thing, or having your teeth knocked out, or like all these sort of things. It's like, wait, what? So
Mhm.
the whole year I'll be having this thing going? No, that's not how it works. These are the
Mhm.
ages when the nakshatra is active. Now, you
Mhm.
there's a way, and it's like it's very technical and but brilliantly predictive. It's a lecture by DeepanshuGiriJi, and I made a
Mhm.
video about it where I translated it. It's a very
Mhm.
like the video itself has like terrible recording quality and whatever. I was essentially just translating line by
Mhm.
line of
Mhm.
what he was saying. So so I have him saying a line
Mhm.
in Hindi on 2x speed, and then I am stating that line back in English,
Got it.
and that's sort of how
Mhm.
the recording goes. But the technique itself
Mhm.
is brilliant, and I can walk you through that
Mhm.
technique of like because
Mhm.
each house is activated
Mhm.
on on a certain like on some at some ages, and then you have
Mhm.
to, if you superimpose on that your rising sign, and then over
Mhm.
and above that you superimpose on that your dasha, you will get
Mhm.
very fine-tuned predictions of what is going to happen in each year and each thing and it's like if
Got
you
it.
really want a
Mhm.
spoiler alert on your whole life,
Mhm.
you can, this is very
Mhm.
achievable by knowing the active ages of each nakshatra. um
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah. And then the remedial mantras for
Mhm.
for this nakshatra, Om Lam, Om Shram, and the Vishnu Sahasranam. Then
Mhm.
sorry, you have any questions or anything?
I do. I think I'll
Yeah.
ask you in the private session. I do
Okay.
have here, not generally, but I guess
Okay.
related to my horoscope.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, put a pin in it because there's two
Mhm.
significant ones here that I can even tell you right now is the birth
Mhm.
star of Saturn, Venus. You see again over
Mhm.
here that Venus theme is coming up. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then, oh yeah, the life lesson here is to learn to find nourishment and heal one's inner child so that
Mhm.
one can provide for and nourish the next generations and one's creation. Because the main
Mhm.
theme, so to speak, that's kind of ticklish and tricky in this one is the call is to nourish the next generation, or
Mhm.
to like empower one's creations, so to speak. But then it's like, well, how am I going to nourish this creation if I was not nourished in that fashion myself? So the
Mhm. If I
first
don't
step
know how
is
to
to,
do it because I don't have the, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the first
Mhm.
step is to learn to get it for yourself and then give it.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's really the main big lesson of this one. Um,
Mhm.
Now, the temperament of this nakshatra is divine, elemental. It's Devgan. The approach is
Mhm.
lateral, Triangamukhi. Now, there are three types of, in terms of approaches. There's the downward Adhomukh, the upward,
Mhm.
I'm blanking on upward, what it's called, but, and then the lateral is Triangamukhi. The lateral
Mhm.
ones are the ones who, again, that same theme of yours from Purvashada of like collaboration, all that, that's coming in again.
Mhm.
Because again, even
Mhm.
this one is very lateral, very like you might do really well in collaborative things in now
Mhm.
life pursuit. This is a Shudra one. What does Shudra mean? Shudra means the life pursuit is to provide public essential services, right? Providing survival services, to provide necessities, and preferably for masses.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
that's the core sort of like uh,
Mhm.
where how a person likes to use their life energy, so to speak.
Mhm.
The type of nakshatra is Mridu and Maitreya, which is
Mm-hmm.
sweet and pliable. Again,
Mm-hmm.
just translating the literal words, and
Right.
don't think of pliable though as like a sissy, that's not what pliable means, that you can be tough in the situation that you have to be tough in this
Mm-hmm.
like lateral, collaborative
Mm-hmm.
exchange. You are flexible where you can change your approach to
Mm-hmm.
get what is needed to get. So if certain ones are like very fixed, right? It's like, no, this is
Right.
this is how that, but this Mridu and Maitreya is very intelligent, like high emotional intelligence in being able to get what you need to get, because you can modify your way and your approach.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really, and then but then where does this lead to, right? Like what drives you to do that, to bend your way and all. The primary motivation for this one is moksha, and the drive
Mm-hmm.
is transformation. The
Mm-hmm.
interesting thing here is, you may think moksha is like, all like spiritual, lala. It's not necessarily that. Because
Mm-hmm.
freedom comes in many forms, right? There's financial
Mm-hmm.
freedom. There's the
Mm-hmm.
freedom to spend your life as you wish. There's
Mm-hmm.
many types of freedom. So, but that's sort of the primary like motivation. Um, I've written a lot of things here, like the Ayurvedic dosha, the direction, the gender, all these, the tree, the flower, the animal. I forgot to put in the bird here. But the reason and the color brown, why have I put in all these things? These are more to do with like, they really come in handy in like prashna or in
Mm-hmm.
remedies.
Mm-hmm.
So normally, like when I see a client, I won't necessarily put everything in there, because sometimes a person may get inundated, right? Like, oh, so what do I have to do with this tree now? You know, um, but I'll have it like in the side notes, of, oh, okay, of what flowers smell may be soothing to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or what color might be a good totem, right?
Right.
Uh, Also in prashna, like, oh, um, will I find this item? Yes, no. And where will I find it? Oh, eastern
Mm-hmm.
direction, right? It's like sometimes, I mean, and of course, some people even devotionally will use this as, which direction should they be facing when they do the mantras and all. But there are many, many applications to each of these sort of points. Now, one thing I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you, from a timing perspective, this nakshatra is very auspicious for nourishment, of course, but for legacy planning, like financial legacy
Mm-hmm.
type planning, even like foundation planning, navigation too, setting out on a journey. Um, the
Mm-hmm.
biggest cautionary with this one is, that enablement, what they call it, or enabling relationships, or like, or, taking on people who are like projects. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of the kind of sort of watch out for kind of
Even
thing.
if you think psychologically, because of the nourishment, you try to kind of, I see
Yes.
what you're saying. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So
Like, y-
boundaries, basically,
yes.
boundaries are important. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also very hard, because if you think about it, right, the boundless ocean, like where are you going to put
Mm-hmm.
a boundary, right? So that becomes like an
Mm-hmm.
extra challenge, like, um
Mm-hmm.
in this.
Right.
Yeah, but and there's also like that need to like, oh, but I should, I should do this and that, because I didn't get it. But it's like, well, but if you first need to learn to get it for yourself before you can give it. That's the very, very
Right.
critical part of this one. Yeah.
Got it.
Now, the yog for you
And
is
apologies for
Sukarma.
the background noises. I
Say that again.
Apology for the background noise.
Oh no, I can't hear anything.
Apologies for the background noise. So,
Uh,
okay,
uh,
that's good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
My
Oh,
kids
no,
are
no.
playing behind the scenes. So,
Yeah. No, I can't hear anything actually. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And the yoga is Sukarma. And now, okay, the planetary herald of Sukarma is the sun, right? So we'll go into sort of where your sun is and stuff. The deity in different texts, there are different deities. Surya Narayan is one, Indra Devta is
Mhm,
another, Vishnu is another, right?
mhm,
If your sun is in a strong position, it's recommended to wear rubies.
mhm,
If it's not, then simply like doing the Gayatri mantra with Diksha, of course, and maintaining Satvik. Only then you do the Gayatri, right?
mhm,
Or on the very like if you like eat, drink, whatever, then at minimum like morning sun therapy.
mhm,
That's sort of the best recommendation for this nakshatra, or not this nakshatra, this yoga, right?
mhm,
Sukarma yoga. Now, here's what's interesting with Sukarma, okay? Maybe I'm a little biased because one of my kids has it too. Um, Sukarma Yoga people, usually there is that sort of unfinished quality. Like, I came here to finish something from before.
mhm,
That's always like a background theme. And they usually
mhm.
come back to the specific person or family, or they marry the person with whom they have to finish up something. That's,
Okay.
yeah, that's really, really fascinating. Now
Mhm,
the details of that, and I think I may have written it somewhere. Oh yeah, because yeah, this was something to go into privately, where it says see D10 and Sun, right?
mhm.
So we will go into this one. We'll take a sort of a detour, deeper dive on
Okay.
D10 and the specific position of the sun. Because
Mhm,
so there's sort of two tracks with Sukarma. One is
okay.
like say, you're born to a mother who like you were taken from too early in the past, or you're born to a sibling who like, you couldn't save last time, so now you're here
Mhm,
to save this person, or like
mhm,
marry somebody with whom like
mhm,
something couldn't finish last time, right?
mhm.
There's generally that sort of, I was going to say there's always that thing, but then, our teacher always tells me, or not always tells me, but often tells me, don't use the word always.
Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
you read, don't say always. So therefore, oh, now I hear you, Panchang.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, he's still completely not out of his sleep, so I think he'll go back to the sleep again.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, makes sense, I think.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Hi, puppy. Yeah. So now, one of the risks with this yoga is uh, sometimes, and again, it's Venus related. Okay. Um, so depending on the state of Venus, sometimes the person will do very good work, but will
Mhm,
not get adequately compensated for that good work.
mhm,
If that is the case, the remedies that should be done are Venus related, right? Now, again, your Venus is in Purva Falguni, right?
mhm,
And Purva Falguni is straight up like a need for good mentors and good SMEs, right? Subject matter
mhm,
experts. So that again, that's the funny thing, interesting thing about like this, about Panchang readings, because like the
mhm.
theme of the life, the theme of a
Keeps
person's
coming, yeah,
uh,
keeps popping up again and again and again, yeah.
exactly. And that's why Panchang works, because
Mhm,
you pick up these themes now, and this is why like back in the old days when they would say like these guys would just look at your panchang, and just on the panchang basis they would like tell a person, oh yeah, like you must find a mentor and you must go do this, go, and that's it, like
right,
that's your directive, and like finished,
yeah.
and you're like, wait, what, how did he just tell me that based on these 5 words? Because it's like that, the resonance of the same thing recurring and recurring and recurring. That's the sort of uh,
Mm-hmm.
like the kernel that comes from that is that advice for that direction given.
Okay.
So, and
Fascinating.
okay,
I'll tell you.
yeah,
I think I can relate to what you're saying. I'll tell you in the offline session.
okay, cool. Yeah, I can't wait. Part of me can't wait to also like just be face to
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, right? Yeah. This sounds not weird, but it's yeah. It's you miss that human connection.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, face to face
exactly.
connection. Yeah.
Yeah, which is why, like, I don't think, you know how some people they do readings where like they record the readings and send it to a client.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I don't think I can do that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it would yeah. I don't
It
think so.
has to
I
be in
think I have to
person.
keep
Yeah.
it one on one.
Yeah.
So now on the final one, the final of the five elements, again, you'll see here the themes coming up again. Karna, cognate with, karna, right? Karna, meet. Uh, but what it
Mm-hmm.
means is what is made manifest, right? So your karna is Vanij karna. Now here's something interesting about Vanija. A lot of people, as soon as they say Vanij karna, they advise a person, oh, you should be in business, or, but that's not accurate
Mm-hmm.
actually. To
Mm-hmm.
see whether a person is good at business or not good at business, you have to see the state of Mercury. Okay. But what is Vanich means is that the way that that things manifest well for this person is Vanich is a very collaborative
Mm-hmm.
karna and very focused on negotiation and trade, right? The deity is Mahalakshmi, and she's dressed in rose red, riding
Mm-hmm.
a buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, every Karna has a deity, the color they are dressed in, and what they are riding. What they are riding shows what they have mastered over. So, like, there's one Karna who is
Gotcha.
riding over a chicken. Okay. It's really like, I gave this reading recently, and and you can imagine these three pictures, right? I had this this like a
Mm-hmm.
thunderbolt
Mm-hmm.
cloud with leaves riding on a chicken. You imagine? And and I'm like, well, what does this mean? Riding a chicken is for fear. So riding on a chicken means having mastered fear,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in this one, like buffalo is usually, all this hard work, and the water buffaloes are the ones that like they do a lot of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this one is very much about mastery over that hard work. And that does not mean
Mm-hmm.
necessarily that you have to do hard work, but
Mm-hmm.
that aspect of things is kind of mastered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the direction, the movement is adhomukh, downward. So over here, there's a resonance of your tithi, which was also it was tamas, it was making, giving physical form, like making it real, right? Down to earth, keeping it here, right? Setting it
Mm-hmm.
up, like giving it form, even in your emotional aspect that was
Mm-hmm.
showing up, and then the physical aspect that's showing up again. Planetary channel, again, Venus. So again, with Venus, again with
Mm-hmm.
that negotiation, trade, that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, that downward, making it
Mm-hmm.
manifest. And oh yeah, I just wrote sort of technically speaking, it occurs 8 times during the lunar month. Um, but the important thing to note here is that in for this karna to manifest properly, the best way to do it is to collaborate, to negotiate, to have that sort
Mm-hmm.
of interactive thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is very crucial.
Mm-hmm.
This is not one where you sit around in isolation and in solitude and
Mm-hmm.
like and manifest, and because there are some karmas where you sit
Mm-hmm.
in like just pure isolation and you just think it and then it shows up. There are those kinds too, but this one is not one of them. This one encourages you to use your talent, to collaborate, to seek out subject matter experts in order to help you achieve your goals, to seek out those mentors, to seek out those guides. So I think, here's the thing. I find it like incredibly um both fascinating and
Mm-hmm.
also a confirmation of like the Panchang works
Mm-hmm.
when you're the one who said, hey, let's do this. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, wait, really? Because I don't usually like record it or put it up on any system, or, on any media per se.
Right.
But in a sense, that suggestion from you is so Vanija, right? Like I would never do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I think that's fascinating. That so okay, yeah. Oh, now I have your chart up there. So I will stop the share and I will stop the recording as well. Okay.